Okay, so Ashish, I have given you the panelist option. You can join with me. Okay, yeah, and yeah, you can start your video, and I have given you the access to unmute also. Okay, great.
Hi, Praveen.
Hi, hi. Are you all able to see Ashish? Yes. Great. Okay. Everyone right in the class? Great. Okay. Nice. Okay. So Ashish, how are you?
I'm good.
Great, great, great. So your resume, I think you have mailed, right? Long back.
Yeah,
I
yeah,
have sent you back mail. Your resume is one of the best resume which I have received till now. You have kept like, because you are more experienced guy, I think you have kept everything, whatever is needed for you, right?
right.
And great. So yeah. So as you know, like pattern of the interview, I think I'll be doing the same thing with you, but little bit
Okay,
more on a more difficulty level. I will increase to little bit extent, because I will also make sure like people who are more experienced in our class try to understand, right? So again, let's get started. Time is now 10:04, so by 10:30, right, we will close the interview. So let's start the interview, Ashish. Yeah. So
yeah,
Ashish, thanks for your time. And this is again the opportunity with Walmart supply chain. So we are looking for SDE4. So basically SDE4 is a person who will be leading the team. And we understand from your resume, like you are a lead architect, right? And we are looking for that kind of role here. And this supply chain team is based on both on India and US. So we have cross-functional teams. And in India, you will be the primary point of contact for any things which are happening in our current systems, right? So let's get started, Ashish. Start with your introduction, and then slowly we will go into the deep dive of the questions. I want to know about your entire journey of your experience. Along with that, please tell me what are the difficult challenges you have faced in your current organization, and also explain me about your roles and responsibilities in depth. Yeah, go ahead.
sure. So I started my career as a Linux admin. So initially, for a couple of years in Infosys, I worked on a lot of Linux admin tasks related to LVM, related to monitoring, related to basically CPU memory performance of the Linux servers. So all of those like NFS, Samba, so all of those Linux admin tasks I worked on for a couple of years in my career. Then I shifted towards cloud and the DevOps world. For a couple of years, I worked on AWS and Jenkins, primarily on the CI/CD pipelines. And in AWS, I worked on a couple of services like EC2, load balancer, S3. Basically, infra level services I majorly worked on, and I have a small exposure to some of the security services like guard duty, security hub, etc. So now from the last 4 years, I've been working majorly on a Azure environment. So we have like 60 to 70% of our environment covered with Azure. Then there I mostly worked on Terraform, in which we'll have to create the scripts. We have put the modules in the GitHub, and that are being reused to provision the environments. So we are basically using a third-party tool whose backend is the Terraform, and that third-party tool is integrated with the ServiceNow. So basically, when the user comes, he will consume the GUI of the third-party tool, and the ticket is created in ServiceNow, and then the provision are happen based on the approvals in ServiceNow. That third party tool captures that, and the provision happens after that. I also worked on the cost optimization in my current organization on Azure cloud. I have created some of the PowerShell scripts and put it in the automation accounts. So those scripts run on a monthly basis and capture the orphan resources in our environment, like orphan disk, orphan load balancers, orphan application gateway, orphan public IPs. Apart from that, we have taken some of the initiatives other initiatives wherein we are analyzing the environment every month, and then we are taking the steps. So like we for the recovery service world, we changed its replication from geo redundant to local redundant. Then we have basically changed the enrollment of one of our non-prod subscription from prod to the non-prod one. So this will basically decrease the total cost by around 10% in the subscription. And there are other initiatives as well, wherein we have guided Databricks team to use a sport VMs for their non-prod workloads. and etc. So then apart from that, we work with the application teams to provision their Kubernetes environment. Then we create the YAML files for them as per their requirement. Like we'll create a deployment file, will strategize the deployment strategy, and will figure out the replicas count over there, and then deploy and use the either the ADO, or we will sometimes we deploy it manually.
Okay. Okay, great. So I asked you about the challenges also. So what kind of challenges you are facing in your current organization?
Yeah, so there are a lot of challenges. So initially, there were no tool for the provisioning and all. As I mentioned, that we have used a third-party tool. So I basically led the project. I did a POC of the couple of tools, and then we finalize the tool. So we got a challenge to make it happen in 30 days. We have a huge environment here wherein we'll have 20 plus subscriptions and 10,000 plus servers. There are almost 5,000 plus users consuming the environment. So we have a huge challenge to deploy that tool within 30 days. So we created the Terraform scripts for that tool. We have tested thoroughly of all the use cases, and then made the deployment happen.
Okay, great. So I think that really sounds good. Okay, so from your introduction, from your roles and responsibility, from your challenges, I have understood few things. But yeah, I would like to now deep dive into your current architecture, right? So from this, I have understood that you are using Azure, you are using CI/CD, you are using Terraform, you are using ServiceNow. So and you are using monitoring, little bit of security. Now, I want you to tell me end-to-end flow of your current architecture. Every tool should be integrated so that I can understand. Okay, these tools you have known, right?
Okay, so I mean, are you asking about the Jenkins pipelines?
Everything, like whatever your current architecture looks like what you are doing with Terraform or what you are doing with monitoring, EC2, load balancer, CI/CD, everything like.
Yeah, so basically we are using the pipelines. So in the Jenkins pipeline, we upload the code to the GitHub. So then through the webhook, the Jenkins pipelines are triggered. So in the Jenkins pipeline, initially it's a unit and integration testing, and then it will be shifted towards a SonarQube analysis, wherein it will do the code analysis and provide us various analysis to us, and based on that we need to work. And then from the SonarQube analysis, it will go to the other stages of the pipeline, like it will do. It will go to the um, it will go to once the code is analyzed, so it will go to the our internal repository, wherein it will create an image through that code, and that will be deployed to the repository. So some scanning happens in that repository. We have some internal tools for that, and then it will be deployed into the Kubernetes with the help of Argo CD basically. And for the Kubernetes, basically it's a AKS. Yeah, it will be deployed over there, and we have our Terraform scripts, which will be there in the backend in the GitHub only.
Okay, okay, got it. So tell me one thing, like you are telling like executed the Azure RBAC across 20 plus Azure subscriptions, right? So
Mhm.
how you have completed this? Like I wanted to understand for 20 plus Azure subscription, whether it was done manually or you have done any automations on Azure.
Yeah. So basically, when I joined the organization is using the inbuilt rules. So we have faced a lot of challenges with the inbuilt rules, wherein the organization is giving the contributor rules to any of the users. And in the contributor role, they do have the permission to delete the resources. They do have the permission to create the resources. So we have created the custom roles for each of the subscriptions. We have taken like 15 categories, which we found majorly observed in the organization. So we have created the custom roles. We have omitted the deletion privilege from those roles. We have omitted the creation privilege from those roles. And then we did some of the customization as per the requests or the issues raised in the past year. So we have created those 15 roles basically in our environment. And then we have deployed, we created the JSON for those 15 roles. And then we use the PowerShell basically. And then we have deployed through PowerShell script in like 15 subscriptions, 15, 20 subscriptions in our environment. environment. So then we have guided the our CloudOps team to use those custom roles instead of the inbuilt roles. So with that, the end users won't have the privilege. They just do their work like on a data factory. They'll just manage their pipeline. They just manage the integration environment. They can't create a new data factory. They can't create a new storage account. So this not only helps to optimize the environment from a cost perspective, but also reduces a lot of P1 and P2s in the environment.
Got it. Got it. That's great. So let's understand like 10 plus Terraform scripts for creating the applications and making sure like you are integrating with Prometheus and Grafana. Can you tell me like what were the Terraform scripts and how the Prometheus and Grafana have been integrated with Azure Kubernetes Service?
Yeah, sure. So Terraform scripts are basically the various scripts that are related to Azure services. As I mentioned earlier, we have put the code in the GitHub. So we have again taken 10-15 categories that are being used majorly in our environment. So we have created Terraform scripts for that. Like we have created Terraform script for a storage account. We have created Terraform script for Azure functions. We have created Terraform script for PaaS We have created for virtual machines. Similarly, we have put those scripts in the storage account, and then it is being consumed like as a module by our
Where you have kept this Terraform scripts?
in the GitHub. Our
Okay.
internal we have like internal organization, and in that we have placed
Okay.
our
That's
scripts.
great. That's great. So you are creating storage accounts, Azure functions, some kind of other resources you are getting creating, right? How the Kubernetes is getting created?
Yeah, so similarly, Kubernetes is also placed over there in the GitHub. So user has to come. I mean, there are two kind of users. Where one is the existing applications who just want to consume some of the Kubernetes services. So they deploy on their own, and they have their own teams in the backend who do the Kubernetes work. But for some of the users, it's just a project from the scratch. So we basically help them to provision the Kubernetes servers, and then we basically help them to use the we'll basically create the YAML file for them, and then we'll have to integrate for the monitoring. So for the monitoring, we have like our virtual machine wherein we have installed our Prometheus over there. So all the AKs are basically integrated with those servers. I mean, with the virtual machine. So what happens, like anything comes in the Prometheus, it will go. I mean, the monitoring is captured over there, like the metrics and all, and then it will send to the Grafana. So Grafana will basically take Prometheus as an input and give us the metrics of those, and then that's how the Kubernetes is being
Okay.
monitored over there.
Okay, got it. So let's deep dive into the Azure Kubernetes service, right? So can you tell me the architecture? Let's consider like some team is coming to you, right? Can you tell one architecture which you guys have provisioned with the Terraform and you have given them and it is successfully running without any issues?
Yeah, sure. So basically, we are using the services and the ports and the deployments here. So what we do, like, I mean, depending on the architecture, we use like a service as a internal load balancer or an external load balancer. So we'll have to define the type as load balancer in our YAML configuration file. So what happens, like, we'll create the deployment, we'll mention the number of replicas and the image over there. So based on that, the service will be the front end, and will have that front end should reach to the whenever the traffic comes from that service, it will reach to the ports. So for that, we have an ingress controller. So what will ingress controller do? Ingress will have, I mean, ingress controller is basically for a path-based routing. So we have defined various kind of ingress services, like slash will go to this port, slash path slash route should go to this port. So now the flow is, we'll have a external load balancer service, we'll have our ingress controller, and then it will send the traffic to the ports which are deployed as part of the deployments in the application.
Okay, this is about routing, right? How
Yeah.
the Azure Kubernetes service architecture looks like how many master nodes, worker nodes, what are the components that you are going to design with Terraform?
Yeah, so basically, for a application, we'll have, I mean, a number of worker node depend on the application strength. So we have like 4 worker nodes. In that 4 worker nodes, we'll have the number of nodes over there, and then we'll have a single master node over there to manage those worker nodes. And then in the worker nodes, we'll have the ports, we'll have the kubelets, we'll have the container runtime environment, all of this over there. And then in the master node,
Uh,
we'll have like, yeah.
okay, how many node pools you are using in Azure?
4 node pools.
4 node pools, and each node pool is having one node.
Each node pool is having 3 nodes.
Okay, 4 node pools, and what is that? 4 node pools, and each
With
node pool is having
3 nodes.
3 nodes. Okay, so total of 12.
Yeah. 12.
Okay, and this you how you decide, like when some team asks you to create the Azure Kubernetes service, so on what parameters you have a checklist for that team, or you just randomly like, okay, like some team is coming, let's create like 3 node pool or 1 node pool, like how
Uh,
does?
yeah, we have a checklist for that.
Okay,
So,
that's
yeah. So what we do, like we basically have to analyze the number of
that's
users which are
yeah,
hitting the application, and
correct.
then we'll have to analyze the regular number of users and the number of users which comes over a month. What kind of application it is? If it is some finance applications, then that usually have more workloads in the month end or in probably the quarter end. If it is some e-com application, then it would have workloads in the weekends or maybe in some festivals. So based on that, we'll have to decide the type of the application. We'll have to decide number of users which are hitting the application. We'll have to decide how many I mean, what is the average peak or what is the average CPU and memory performance CPU and memory of that application. And based on this, we have some checklist. We'll send it to application team. They fill that checklist, then we'll have one discussion over a meeting just to analyze their environment, and based on that we'll take a call how what is the node size, how many number of node pools we can have in the environment.
Okay, understood. And tell me, let's think like this. For example, right? Let's decide like there is one node pool, okay? And under that one node pool, there are 3 nodes, okay? In that 3 nodes, can you tell me the capacity that you are giving? Like how much is the storage? What are the limits that you are giving for that particular one node? Because what happens, right? Let's take like this in Walmart. We are giving some 1 million load, right? There is a Black Friday sale, 1 million load we are giving. So how this storage for this particular node pools, how the latency measures, how the performance, how the cost that you are going to take. Can you tell me on those parameters like cost, performance, and your storage?
Yeah. Yeah, so basically, like when we have such kind of scenarios, we usually go with the horizontal port auto scaling, which directly depends on the CPU percentage. If the CPU percentage goes, we can configure this horizontal port scaling in our environment, so it will basically fetch the data from the metric server which is installed in the Kubernetes, and then based on the CPU metrics, we can define like if the CPU percentage is above that, then we can define the minimum and the maximum number of replicas or the pods for that Kubernetes server.
Okay, great.
Now,
So you
yeah,
are using the metric pod, right, to
yes.
gather the. Okay, that's good. And what kind of nodes, right, you are using, like D3N, S3N, E type? What type of nodes you are using here?
I mean, again, depends on the scenario
Okay.
because I mean, if the server, if the application is some memory intensive, then we'll have to use the family which is more giving strength to the memory. If it
Mm.
is some CPU intensive application, then we'll have to go with some CPU intensive family. And if it is some generic application, then we can use a generic family size.
Okay, understood. And how, okay, let's discuss about the cost optimization. Right now, I understood that. Can I say like your team is actually helping in provisioning the infrastructure whenever some team is asking you? Can I say this?
So actually, we don't help them directly. We That's why we have, because there are a lot of users here. So we have given them access to the third-party tool.
Correct.
It will go through like certain levels of approvals, and then the provision
But
happen.
at the end, your team is
Yes.
creating, right? So can I say like your team is basically doing some kind of provisioning when some team is asking?
Yeah. Yeah.
Okay, great. So let's talk about the cost optimization. So
Mhm.
can you tell me like what kind of steps you have taken in terms of like doing the cost optimization? Because as an SRE, even in Walmart, right? So we are facing this issue, right? So can you tell me like what important steps you have taken here?
Yeah. So initially we analyzed there are a lot of orphan resources. I mean, that can be a part of as user activities
Can
or.
you like, yeah, I was about to ask this.
Uh-huh.
Like when I say like orphan, right? So let's consider like I have created a load balancer and that load balancer I am not using. So is that called orphan?
So for load balancer, we have marked those load balancers are orphan wherein the backend pool is empty. So basically load balancers are sending the traffic to the backend pool. If backend pool is empty, then they are not sending any traffic.
Okay, let's consider like I got a orphan load balancer, okay, without the backend node pool. Now, how you are, what script you are running on that? Like you are running some Terraform destroy command on that, or how you are
To delete
segregating?
the load balancer or to
Okay,
gather
let's
the
consider
details?
this scenario. Okay, so I have one load balancer, I have one VM, okay, and I have some other components which are orphan now. Okay, so how you are knowing that these are orphans and how you are destroying them?
Yeah. So basically, we have scheduled a script in the Azure automation account. It's a PowerShell script. So in the PowerShell script, we made a logic for all of these categories. If for the public IP, let's say we'll check the associated to column, associated to category. So if it is empty, then we'll mark that as orphan, and it will come in a report. So in the PowerShell script, all of these, like for a load balancer, I told you the logic. Similarly, for others, we have made these logics, and it will capture the report and put it in the storage account. So once it is put in the storage account, the team will go to the dev owners. They will check, they will just take their approvals. They will create a change, and then the team will, delete those
How often this Azure automation runs with the PowerShell?
once in a month.
Once
So
in a month. So, okay. So can you tell me like how much cost it is giving you as of now? Let's think like this. Last month, sometime you got the report, right? So how was the cost reduced?
yeah, so basically, every month we'll see like 10 to 20K decrease. Those
Correct.
costs are numbering too, but in some of the cases, some of the teams say like they do need these resources, they have provisioned this for their future needs. So we'll have to mark them as exemptions, and we cannot delete those.
Okay. Okay. I got it. So let's consider like this is step one of cost optimization where you are looking at orphan resources. Now, what are the other steps which you have taken in part of like cost
Yeah.
optimization?
So for other steps, we basically analyze the resource groups. So last week only we analyzed one of the non-prod resource group wherein we found that there is some storage accounts whose replication is geo redundant, and that is not basically needed for the non-prod environments. So we have communicated the same to the application team. We have found we are also analyzed their log analytics workspace where the data retention is set to 90 days. We suggested them to bring down to 30 days. Similarly, we have analyzed their applications, and we found like they have configured the auto scaling to 200 in the environment. It can be done like we have analyzed the metrics, and also it can be reduced to 5 to 10. So yeah, in that way, we basically analyze the resource groups from application perspective, which applications are costing us more in the overall environment. And then based on that, we'll proceed each month. Apart from that, analyzing from a resource group level, we also analyze from a subscription level the centralized resources that we are using, like recovery service vault, subscription level and log analytics workspace, or
Correct, correct, correct.
subscription level
Yeah,
agreements
yeah.
and all that I
Yeah,
told
yeah.
initially.
Got it, got it, got it. So can I say that in your current role, right, you are mostly targeting provisioning of your Azure resources and again checking on the cost optimization things on the Azure itself, right? So any other things would you like to inform me, like Praveen, apart from these things, I'm also like working on these things.
Yeah, I did a couple of POCs as well in my current role. I did a POC for one of the backup tool and one of the cost optimization tool as well. So wherein we have basically did some make some use cases for the tool. So we have figured out that there are a lot of activities that can be automated, and for the backup tool also we are going to be multi-cloud in future. So we are thinking of having a one centralized tool in our environment. So we did a POC and then finalized one of the tool for the
Okay.
organization as of now.
And are you using anything like HD Insight clusters in Azure or any kind of data lakes?
I'm not working actively on those services. I do have a basically hindsight of those resources, but I'm not working actively on
Okay, so you
those.
have other team to take care of that?
Yeah, yeah.
Okay, great. Okay. So I see that you have done certifications on Kubernetes admin, RHCE, Google Cloud Associate, right? So among these six certifications, right? So I just wanted to understand which one was very challenging and how much time, right, it took to overcome that challenge particularly?
For me, Kubernetes was very challenging. So it took, I studied around 4 to 5 months for that certification.
Okay.
I failed first attempt.
Okay.
So, I mean, as part of the package, we can go with the second attempt. So then I studied again because there are a lot of concepts in Kubernetes. I mean, in first go, it just go like as a concept, then we'll have to understand, we'll have to make some diagrams, we'll have some pictorial images in our mind to write the codes in the because in the exam also we'll have to write the codes, we'll have to deploy the services. So I found that very challenging. There are a lot of concepts and I have to just go through again and again those concepts to have some pictorial image in my mind.
Okay, okay. So one last question to you. Okay. So you are coming as a lead role, okay, into Walmart. So how confident are you in guiding your juniors in completing this certification, right? Because I as a maybe senior authority want everyone in my team to complete this CK exam, right? So how confident you are? They don't want to take any kind of external Kubernetes trainings, or they don't want to learn from anywhere. They want to learn from you, right? So how confident you are, like 4 members in a team, how confident you are and how much time will you take to make sure that those 4 resources are Kubernetes ready?
Yeah. So actually, in my current organization, I also did a KTs with the freshers, wherein I told them about the Azure environment end to end, and they did a certifications on the Azure.
Great.
So similarly, I will plan that KT. Maybe we can invest 2 hours per week, or depending on the organization, we can have some timelines for them. So I will go topic by topic. This exam basically covers 6 to 7 topics that come 70 to 80% in the exam. Either it's a ports, deployment, replica set, persistent storage related to volumes, then secrets, config maps, and then there are a little bit of other topics which have very less weightage. So
Great.
we'll go through these topics in the KT. I will tell them each and every aspects of the exams as well as from a KT, I mean knowledge perspective, and then we'll have them ready for the exam.
Great, great. I think that's good. And yeah, that's what actually I'm also expecting, right? So yeah, I think time is now 10:30, so it's time for feedback. I think you have done great job. So let me share my screen. What are the things that I noticed? I will be very genuine with you,
Sure.
right? So let's go ahead. Okay.
Mhm.
So yeah, so when I asked, see, everyone just focus on the screen, right? So let's discuss like what are the things. Okay. Now, when you have seen for a fresher, for a 3 years of experience, the level of interview will be different. For a senior experience, the level of interview will be different. Okay. And first of all of your eyes on the screen. Okay. So usually what happens for a senior most person, right? Yeah, current, that's what I also understood, like confident to the point and truthful. I also felt very honestly the interview was. So I think that is one good thing. Yes. Now all of you see here, yeah, I will be telling that Chiranjeevi why it was focused on cloud then DevOps. So let's get started here. Okay. Now, whenever some senior person is giving the interview, people will check their qualities here. Yeah. So what qualities I have checked is uh, what happens, right? Your brain should be processing the question. Okay. 3 to 4 questions they will give you, or 4 to 5 questions they will give you at once. You need to answer. So my first question itself contained 3 questions, 1, 2, 3, where Ashish forgot about this, but yeah, that's completely fine. He said about his current or his previous first organization, what he has done. Then he came to his current organization, how he is doing. Then he told about the roles and responsibilities. In roles and responsibilities, I found only 2 points here. One is Terraform and one is cost optimization. So my entire interview was based on this only, because if I ask something else, then it will be difficult, right? Correct. So from here, I derived that the Terraform and the cost optimization are the important playgrounds that Ashish is working, right? And coming on to the challenges, again, I understood that on the Terraform side, as a lead, he's doing the things. So I can understand, like, for a lead, what type of questions we should ask. Okay. Now coming on to the current architecture. So I asked this where Ashish got a little bit fumbled. So I skipped entirely the CI/CD part. Ashish, I'm correct, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. So I skipped entirely the CI/CD part. So now coming on to the Azure part, I felt very confident because Even Walmart is built completely on Azure. Okay. So now what I was looking at, like 15 roles, how the RBACs, the subscriptions on the cost optimization side, basically his team is working on making sure your cost is reduced, right? Unwanted provisionings is not happened on the cloud. If something is orphaned, right? Something is not used by any of the team, they will be bringing down, right? So this is one of the good automation where you have used some kind of PowerShell scripting automations you have done. Coming on to the Terraform, I also enjoyed you are telling about the storage accounts as your factory, I think, right? As your factory, AF?
Azure Functions.
Yeah, as your functions. And you told something like SQL. What is this?
PaaS SQL services.
What is that? Managed SQL.
Yeah, managed SQL services.
Oh, okay, okay. Yeah, I forgot. Yeah, I mean, I told something like I heard. Okay, that's fine. So all of these you are provisioning with Terraform. I enjoyed. Now from here, what I wanted to understand is, because Ashish was morely into Azure, so I started asking on the AKS services plus monitoring, right? Here also he said about the load balancers, infrastructure as a code, Terraform, and then I asked, like in Azure, what happens, right? So basically you have various kinds of masters, you have worker nodes, node pools. So I asked from here and I wanted to understand whether he's genuine or not. So I asked him one question like, how do you define like how much node pools is there? So he gave a checklist. He's very genuine here in the checklist also. So I understood like he's giving some kind of checklist for the team, like 3 million load, 5 million load, depending on the accounts. Like, then I asked about the storage things, right? Because type of instance plays an important matter, right? So he answered that. Then I went on the cost optimization. So cost optimization understood like orphans. Yeah, people are using this. Then resource group subscription. So Ashish, most of the feedback, what I would like to give is on this part, right? So I understand you are doing good in your current work, but you should be very confident in telling these things, in telling the entire pipeline, right? This is like the prerequisite for every lead, because every organization expects like Jenkins should be there. The entire development part should be there, right? The scripting should be there. Python should be there. So I didn't ask any questions because from here only I derived like two things, right? You understood? So if you would have told me here, no, Praveen, I am using like Terraform, Python, CI/CD, maybe some other Prometheus, Grafana, I would have gone from here to here. The next question would have been Prometheus, Grafana, Helm charts, deployments, your monitoring, clusters, and all those things. But whatever I felt, you are very good for lead because see, I asked this, right? Again, you were very genuine. You said like 4 to 5 months it took, failed first attempt, and you cleared certifications. You again told like you are currently giving some kind of KT for your team. Topic wise, you told like you will go for 2 hours per week. So I think for a lead, whatever you are working in your current organization, it's very good, right? And definitely your confidence levels are good. Only I found here one place only it should be a little bit more. But yeah, rest, I think everything was very good you in terms of because SREs at the senior most level in any organization, right? Always focus on your cost, your provisioning, how you are interacting with your team and all those things. So I think these all things you are good, right? Only thing is on your, when you are explaining about your roles and responsibilities, just add more pointers so that interviewer can take from here, right? Okay, I think rest all it's good. I enjoyed a lot talking with you, right? And thanks a lot for your time. And your resume is really good. Your certifications are awesome. Just you need to brush up on 1 to 2 pointers which we have discussed.
Sure, sure.
Okay, thanks a lot. I think it was really good talking to you. So guys, how was the interview? Yes, how was the interview? Ashish, you can, yeah, I will promote it back to your attendee role. Very useful for experienced people. SRE cost optimization.